Hello unicorns, and welcome back to another video. In case you are new, my name is Nathalie and this is my Cafecito y Pan Dulce YouTube channel where we have coffee talks about anything from Jesus to fashion to beauty to social justice, anything. Thank you so much for clicking on my video. Hope you guys enjoy it, and if you're new then make sure that you subscribe down below. So for today's video, we are going to be talking about the big question that a lot of us ask ourselves. Can we love too much? We're going to be looking at it from a Christian perspective. So as a little disclaimer, I just want to begin by saying it's definitely a gray area, and it's ultimately up to us as individuals and the Holy Spirit that works within us to discern whether we're loving too much to the point where it's idolizing, or we're loving just the right amount. So again, thank you so much for clicking on the video, and without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the literature, the words in the Bible that tell us whether we can love too much. We're going to be talking about three verses, just three verses, or three sections of the Bible that talk about love and kind of what we mean when we ask, can we love too much? So the first thing is, can we love others too much? So can we love our family too much? Can we love our friends too much? And for that, I found a verse in Matthew chapter 10. So it's Matthew chapter 10, verse 37 and 38. Anyone who loves their father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. Anyone who loves their son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. Whoever does not take up their cross and follow me is not worthy of me. So for that one, I guess I've always asked myself, can I love my mom and dad too much? Can I love my sisters too much? Because there is a point in time where I was super scared of whenever something would happen to my mom where I'd be really close to losing her or something like that, I would always be oh my gosh. Or whenever I think of or we see movies where the kids lose their parents, I'm if you make me lose my parents, God, I will never follow you again. I will just leave and never look back. And now looking back at it, that's not the way that we're supposed to love God. We're supposed to love God above everything. And I think this is easiest to do when we realize that our parents and the people around us still have faults, still let us down, whereas God, it doesn't. Ever. It's important for us to love God first, because if we don't love God first, then we don't love our neighbors, our family, our friends the way that God sends us to love them. And then we're gonna go to John chapter 15 verse 12, and this one's just it kind of goes along with the one we just read, kind of a supplement to it. So John chapter 5 verse 12 says, "My command is this, love each other as I have loved you." So the important thing I think there to kind of supplement those last couple verses that we read is we do have to love each other. You can't say, well, I'm afraid of loving too much, so I'm just not going to love at all. Because God sends us to be loving people. Naturally, we're going to love people, and naturally, we're going to find ourselves loving them too much sometimes. It's natural. It's a human nature characteristic that God has given us. But I think that's what makes loving God so much more, is that we have to actively try to balance this love and this discernment within us. It wouldn't be as significant if it was easy. Okay, and then the other question that goes along with the big question is, can we love ourselves too much? So for that, we're going to go to two different verses. Proverbs 31:30. Charm is deceptive and beauty is fleeting, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. So this is specifically a verse to women, but I think that it can be applied to men and women. The whole first part of the verse says, charm is deceptive and beauty is fleeting. This kind of goes along with what I said in my How to Love Yourself video. We have to realize when we love ourselves, we have to love ourselves like our faults, our character, not so much our outside appearances. Because when we're loving our outside appearances and when we're loving others' outside appearances, we're not truly loving the essence of who we are. So let's go to 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 3 and 4. Your beauty should not come from outward adornment, such as elaborate hairstyles and the wearing of gold jewelry or fine clothes. Rather, it should be that of your inner self, the unfading beauty of a gentle and quiet spirit, which is of great worth in God's sight. I'm just going to read this last little part of 4 again. It should be that of your inner self, the unfading beauty of gentle and quiet spirit. So this one I feel can apply to also loving ourselves too much sometimes. Usually when you find yourself or you find other people loving themselves too much or idolizing themselves, it's because they think that they're physically attractive. It's very important to love yourself in that way, sure, but you have to remember that after a certain point, after a certain line, if you pass it, you're idolizing yourself and not prioritizing God's love over everything. You're loving yourself more than you love God. Especially, you'll notice this when you start sinning. If you start sinning, and I mean we're all sinners, but I mean if you start sinning, if it's something like prioritizing your needs over God's needs, then it's kind of a way of saying maybe I don't love God more than I love myself and my needs. There's a reason why God sends us to love Him above everything else. There's a reason why we can't love people more than we love Him. A lot of times, for example, with fornication, having sex before marriage, we'll devalue our convictions because we want to show this other person that we love them. And when we're showing this other person that we love them, we're also showing God that we're not so sure about His love. So when we prioritize His love and loving Him, then we won't have to worry about sinning. We won't have to worry about going against Him because we won't want to go against Him. We won't want to sin. It's just, if we love Him, everything else follows. Okay, so that concludes the video for this morning. I hope you guys enjoyed it, found it helpful. I think that it's sometimes a question that we all ask ourselves, and it's important to sit down when we're in a relationship, when we have family members around us. It's important to sit down and kind of evaluate whether we are loving this person too much or whether God is at the center of our relationship and our love for Him. Don't forget to give the video a thumbs up, subscribe, all that. So I will see you guys next week. Today concludes the February love themed videos. So next week we'll be starting just back to our regular videos. So see you guys next week. I love you guys so much. Have a good rest of your week, good rest of your day, good rest of your night, whenever you're watching this. I love you guys, and I'll see you guys next time.